It's video game reaction time!
Yeah, and today we're gonna check out the Resident Evil 3 trailer.
There's gonna be a new game coming out?
You can call it a new game, but really it's actually a reboot of a classic game. It's basically an updated version. That's basically all Capcom seems to be doing today. They're taking their old games and just updating them with new graphics, a couple new mechanics. Boom, put it out there and people buy it in droves.
I love the movie. I'm not sure about the game because it's scary.
You love the movie. Well, that goes to show you what kind of taste you have in movies. Because
maybe not love, but
the best.
No, the first one though. No, the very first one was kind of good.
Yeah, no, none of them were really good for me. The kind of
Really?
things I would watch on late night cable, and that's about as far as I would go with it. But honestly, even the games, I haven't played them in a long time too. Like the whole series has fallen out of favor with me. Partly because the mechanics and the controls just never felt like I could get into it. I always felt like I was fighting against the mechanics, fighting against the controls more than enjoying the actual gameplay. Yeah. So, with this updated version, this upgrade, I don't know how much of that they're going to carry over to this new version. Now, I can understand why they're selling really well. It's a whole new generation of gamers that are being exposed to it. The last time Resident Evil 3 came out, it was on such old hardware that the graphics did not, they didn't look that great. So they do look a lot better, but this is starting to get into the business of gaming. If you take a look at Capcom's slate of games that they are launching, they're all just retreads of their classic franchises. They are not really introducing anything new to nothing new to the gaming world, right? They're coasting with Monster Hunter, Street Fighter, Resident Evil. I'm not even saying that it's not working right now. In fact, this year, the first half of the year, they had record revenue compared to some of the past years. But that's also dangerous to think about as, well, look at it, that's doing really well. Let's just break out all of our old games and update them.
Right.
Because if you take a look at the longer history of Capcom, they had a lot of ups and downs over the years. And there was a period where they doubled down on introducing a lot of new franchises. And we got a lot of really cool stuff from it. But then it just collapsed. They had one too many massive failures. They took way too many big risks with new IPs. They didn't pan out. They didn't sell. And they shut just about everything down. They didn't just shut down these new games. They shut down all these studios that they opened worldwide. And they brought it all back to Japan. And when that happens, a company goes through contrition, right? They basically are trying to get everything back in control in headquarters, whether or not headquarters actually knows what's working or not. They sort of rebuild. And this effort that they're going through right now, this rebuilding effort, is driving profitability for them. But I don't think it's long-term sustainable. I've seen this happen with companies again and again where they just milk the franchises to death. And without new IPs, you will always be eventually dead in the water.
Well, they're still surviving.
1 year, 2 years is a very short window to take a look at how a company is faring. You have to kind of look at it as a 5-year roadmap. In fact, when I was in the gaming industry and I was managing a couple of franchises, every year I had to present a 5-year roadmap. I had to outline where the brand is going, the next sequel after that, how much revenue we're going to generate, cost. 5 years. Because if you are thinking that far ahead, especially with games like this, it takes a couple of years to develop. You will be in big trouble if you don't have that kind of long-term thinking. Otherwise, you can end up with what I've seen with some other franchises in the same company when I was working at Hudson/Konami. They just milk that same franchise to death, release 50 versions of the same game until it just kills the franchise. Why? Because they said, well, it makes money right now, but too many of the same things.
In the long run.
In the long run, it will hurt them.
Die.
You have to have a mix, the balance. And, some people can argue what that balance is sometimes. I would always say, if you're going to have predictable, sustainable revenue, which is really important, that could be about 70 to 80% of your business, your bottom line. But you have to continue to invest about 20% into something new. The risky, right? Whether it's a new hardware, whether it's new gaming franchises. And, some of them won't pan out, but the ones that do, you can add them back to your stable. And that's what Nintendo has done really, really well. The bigger companies, at least in the US, tend to have a much better product lineup mix than Japanese companies, which operate in a very, very different way and something that I'm just not as familiar with, quite frankly. But yeah, just my little rant about and concern I want to say rant, but more like a concern, how they're taking a lot of their old stuff and updating them. But Resident Evil, honestly, is such an amazing franchise. They really should come up with the next version of Resident Evil, a brand new thing, a brand new story idea, or, quite frankly, just introduce new IP. So there you go, y'all. Little lesson in gaming. All right, Resident Evil 3 gameplay. Why don't we just check it out?
That's right. Let's just watch it.
Okay, let's just watch it. Jeez, all right. Y'all don't want some edumacation. And away we go.
I've never seen anything like it. I haven't been able to sleep this week.
You gotta stay strong. Don't give in to fear out there, right?
How did this
All right,
happen?
calm down, buddy. Calm down.
Send reinforcements. No, wait, hurry up. Help me.
'07. Oh, they're coming! Get out!
Honestly, right now, I can't tell if it's gameplay or if it's a cinematic. I feel like if you're going to show me Resident Evil 3, show me the new gameplay.
Oh my god, I can't even see. If I play this game, I'll get sick.
Resident Evil has always been about the jump scares. The dark corners you have to go around and things like that.
Jill, over here.
Oh,
Nice.
What the hell?
really different.
How could this many people be infected?
This city is completely cut off, isolated.
Don't look at me like that, all right? I'm not infected.
But right now it's got a hard-on for the only 2 stars left in town.
They don't need a bleeding heart like you getting in the way.
Star's office has to be in this direction.
It looks like it's cinematics, but it's using the in-game engine to create the cinematics.
Gets worse every night.
They don't want the world to know what they've done.
Oh, my head.
What's wrong with Umbrella?
Get in!
I can't stop them all!
You gotta get out of there.
You guys are the ones who caused all of this!
No, wait.
Oh, come on.
We've gotta be dreaming.
She's infected.
Commitment, honesty, integrity, these are the core values that create the foundation for Umbrella Corp.
It's Nemesis. He was the big baddie in this. He was introduced. And he is really, really scary looking.
Blah.
You want to see what he looks like? They didn't show here. I don't know why they're teasing it, because quite frankly, everyone who plays Resident Evil kind of already knows what he looks like. But he's this huge, hulking monster of a beast. His lips are ripped off so he can never, kiss anybody. He chapped lips.
Experimented?
Yeah, chapped lips. Yeah, I mean, they're all experiments, right? That was the whole concept of Resident Evil, which I always thought was an interesting storyline that they could really take it a lot further. Corporation. That is, doing all sorts of fancy experiments that somehow goes haywire in Raccoon City.
What's the name of that, the lady who played...
Mila?
Mm-hmm. I like her. She's a
she
badass.
She is a badass, yeah, definitely.
Actress.
I mean, the movies are
good for me.
Good, perfect for Lulu. The kind of movies where you don't have to think too hard.
That's
There's just
right.
enough jump scares and a non-stop action. You get a bit of a thrill a minute, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
The games, honestly, are nothing like that. They're a lot more deliberately paced. They're kind of clunky. Although Resident Evil did start to turn the corner of having mechanics that feel a lot better. So I actually do hope in this remake they do a heck of a lot more with changing the controls and the inventory management system. And just like some of the things that, quite frankly, that if you go back and play these older games, they feel like, we can leave those kind of design mechanics in the past. Like there's better ways to design games today.
I see. All right.
That
was a lot of comment, John.
This was, that's why I want to react to this, just so I can get my little bit of commentary in. There you go. Booyah.
Boom, that's it.